What up, ladies and gentlemen? Here with a very cool another interview. A band that kind of put together all these types of music, very fall music, I'd say, with a very awesome, very romantic backstory, one that I kind of resonated with. I really loved reading about it, thanks to good friend Howard, who is like the best publicist in the existence of publicists. So here we have Miss Carrie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm great. Happy to be here.
I know I'm super excited. I had a rowing competition this weekend. Got home at like midnight, but I have enough time to relax and I'm pumped now. So,
How did your team do?
team in all did good. I like my two boats didn't place, but we got eighth out of 14. And last time we got like 14th out of 14th. So,
Oh, wow.
progress.
Major improvement.
Oh, yeah. I'm very proud of how we did. And now my hands are all like completely screwed and
Totally.
hurts. But
I know about that from I'm a chef by day and obviously playing guitar. I actually was really into rowing when I was in high school. I didn't do it like on the team, but it was like one of my favorite forms of exercise. I love the motion of it.
yeah. I mean, it's so calming, especially in this day and age when you have so much on your mind. I feel like whenever I'm on the water and I'm focused on is like press and pull. That's it just takes over. And I don't
Yes.
find that with football or with basketball or tennis or anything else I've done. It's not the same.
Yeah. Good.
But like we were saying before with the psychedelic resort or whatever, I'd like to really talk about that because that's super interesting when you mentioned that when we were chatting like a week ago. So like what was that?
Oh, the retreat that I catered.
Yeah.
So, I'm a private chef and I've done that for like 13 years all over the country, really. And sometimes I do catering jobs, like small to medium-sized events, although I've done some weddings. And sometimes it's kind of an alternative experience. Sometimes it's just like a yoga retreat or like ecstatic dance or something. But this time it was really beautiful organization that leads veterans on psilocybin journeys. Um, so that wasn't happening in my space.
Mhm.
Was at the retreat center, which is like on land, just like very peaceful and serene. They actually went like into town to a treatment center 2 days in a row to do these ceremonies. So I was just there holding space and nourishing them with like nutrient dense, comforting food.
That is so, so cool. And the veterans, it's even better. I mean,
Yeah,
I was talking about like the psychedelic retreat with some friends of mine and just thinking about how awesome that is. That we can do that now, that we have the
totally.
capabilities and enough like-minded people to do that. And the fact that you're a private chef makes that even cooler, considering how this podcast kind of revolves around food. Like, not that I try to put an emphasis on it, it just kind of happens because it's food.
Yeah.
Do you think that that kind of influences your guitar playing?
Hmm. It's funny. I like usually try to think about these two worlds that I'm a part of as separate. And sometimes I'll like have a little moment with my journal where I'm like, how could I fuse the two? Like, what would that look like? Maybe writing from like a little bit of like a palette perspective in terms of my lyrics, with metaphor and whatever.
Mhm.
Definitely like if I'm at a retreat with new people and they're like, what do you do? Or whatever, it always comes up that I'm a musician and then they want to hear my music. And so like I played Love Spells for the veterans this past weekend, and that was really special.
Beautiful.
Um, I don't know though. Probably it does, but I'm not totally clear on how. Like I've been cooking and playing since like 15, 16, but not professionally with either. And just kind of like mostly self-taught on both and just like really intuitive with it and instinctual. Um, Kind of playing what I want to hear and cooking what I want to eat. So I guess there's some like in tandem parallel lines thing happening.
Maybe it's more like subconscious, you know, but
Yeah.
that palette idea is definitely really interesting because it's
Yeah.
almost like a paint palette in the same sense where it's different colors and what are you trying to bring into your music. I could see that with flavor for sure and with spices and everything. What's your
Yeah.
favorite thing to cook? Completely random, but
Um, I don't know that I have a favorite thing to cook. I just love making whatever I want and whatever my partner wants and whatever my clients want. That's really rewarding to me to like meet their needs and like make them happy or make myself happy and meet my own needs. But I love to eat. Um, let's see, what's my favorite thing? Probably something that's a little more time intensive because it happens more rarely. So
uh,
it's more like, you know, doesn't like I just make like fish in a salad or like chicken thighs and like stir fry vegetables with rice like all the time. That's like not special, but like something like spinach, toasted almonds, like lasagna or something like that is a little bit more like rare and like time intensive. And so those kind of like, like doing a stuffing, like I love Thanksgiving because it's like all the things that you make including like a whole turkey or whatever you're doing. It's kind of like I don't really eat those any other time of the year. Like I don't really eat like cranberry or like stuffing or turkey or really even like my family's sweet potato casserole recipe. Like I don't eat any of those any other time of the year. So it's very special and rare. And so my sensory experience of it is like, wow, this is special. This is exciting. So I guess I love to make things and eat things that are like a little bit more outside the day to day.
mhm. You're so very right about that because I don't think many people realize the fact that there's always these special little occasions that happen maybe annually or biannually, but that fact that we don't really do it often, it's kind of just so special and little perfect. And Thanksgiving is such a perfect example of that. I don't see myself eating like that much food any other time of year, except
Totally.
maybe after races or something, but not like that. And my grandma won't cook like a feast for us every day, you know?
Yeah, no.
Do you think you take that mindset into songwriting in the sense that you don't do it often, it's kind of these bursts, or is your songwriting a constant flow of just consciousness?
Hmm. Well, it kind of depends like what you think of as songwriting and also like what you think of as a song. Like lyrically, I'm writing all the time. Um, because if I didn't, like just it's just the way I do it. I don't sit down and say, now I'm writing, you know.
Mhm.
I write when I have a thought. I write when I have like I can kind of step out of my experience, my lived experience, and like look at it from the outside and like analyze it or like notice something about it. Or, just sometimes being present in the moment, you can like, if you're like taking a little quiet moment, like rest and kind of what am I thinking about? Or like if I'm reading a lot, like I don't read a lot of fiction, I read more like nonfiction, like trying to understand and analyze systems.
Mhm.
Um, or if I'm doing like a tarot reading or something, like a lot of times inside of these esoteric pursuits is where thoughts that could be like a cool stanza or like a cool concept for a poem come in. And then in terms of like musically, like writing songs, that definitely comes in bursts. Yeah. Like usually how that goes down is Kyle and I live together. And so he'll be down in the basement playing guitar, um, either working on like learning covers or improvising or playing our songs, kind of like usually a mix of all three. And then he will stumble upon something that I'm into and I'll like call down or like run down there and we'll kind of like flesh that out a little bit more, and maybe I'll record a voice memo of his part or parts and sit with that on my own later, kind of thinking about what the parts are saying, what emotion they're evoking, and what kind of a poem would like be its counterpart. And then maybe I have hundreds of poems just kind of waiting to become songs. So like usually I have something that's appropriate. And oddly enough, it's usually like one of my 3 to 5 more recent pieces that I've written just because I feel like we're always getting better. And so I'd rather use something that's more recent, that feels more relevant now than like going back to something I wrote in 2019 or something, you know? Yeah. And then it kind of develops into some kind of a song seed. And then maybe we bring it to the band at the next practice and kind of continue developing it from there.
I love that so much with that like almost farm to table aspect. That is so cool. And something I've seen a lot, like a friend of mine, Mike Gamble, who actually he does Tool posters a bunch.
Hmm.
He did this like art book where he put a bunch of these oil paintings he did, prints of course, into this beautiful handmade book. Would you ever consider doing like a poem book of all your
Hmm.
beautiful, maybe older poems that you wouldn't really use for a song, but still hold this, time capsule of meaning?
Yeah, I would. Let me see if it's right here where I think it is. Yep. So I haven't photographed these yet, but I want to add these to our website. These are all of my lyrics, all of the songs on Love Spells,
Uh-huh.
written on our typewriter. I love using the typewriter. I love making sure that the lyrics are clear to people so that they understand at least what I'm saying. And, I'm like from the era of liner notes, and I love the concept of like, I don't know, I just remember being like a tween and whatever my favorite thing was, I was listening to the Cranberries or whatever, like memorizing all the lyrics from the liner notes and like knowing every photograph in there and every like artistic decision. And there were so many pages back then. Like in the 90s, it was like, a 6 or 7, like a booklet. And Love Spells is not quite that. We did make a physical CD, but it's just a sort of a digipack with just there's the cover, there's the inside cover, there's where the CD lies, and then there's the back cover. So we had a little bit of space to like play with the art, but yeah, I love the idea of creating a book of um, Death Doula songs, or I guess poems. I love so many visual art like concepts that I wish and hope will accompany the music.
Well, I really would love to see something like that materialize. And when you're talking about visual arts, one of my favorite kind of backdrops, I guess, for shows is definitely when they do projections of like they get an artist and they do these projections, almost like Levitation and Ostic Psychfest, wherever those are. They always have like they bring in artists and they project it, and it's the most beautiful visual arts, sometimes water based. So like dropping dyes in water and then recording that and then projecting it onto the band. But it's always so cool, like a 4D layer on top of already transcendent music and awesome people. So it's kind
Yeah.
of that added layer. Poem book would be awesome, and those visual arts would be even cooler. At least I think.
Yeah, you just gave me an idea, like in terms of the projections thing, like if almost like CC, like when you have closed captions on and it's like, I'm saying this sentence now, and it says, I'm saying this sentence now. It could be like typewritten line by line of what I'm singing that's like being projected on top of us at the same time. And it probably would be abstracted. Maybe it could be like kind of above the band on like a white screen behind us. But yeah, to your point, the like almost like tie-dye thing that happens with like, yeah, there's a couple artists in town here that do that. We haven't collaborated with any of them yet, but we're interested in bringing someone into a live show to kind of do some like kind of psychedelic projections.
I would absolutely love to see that.
Yeah.
And then speaking about the live shows, what type of shows do you play? Is it kind of like these underground guerrilla style shows, which are making a comeback, and I got to go see one of them in Atlanta? Or are you playing like bars, which I hate? This is like a personal bias. I just absolutely hate when these cool bands play bars because I am not allowed into them, and none of my friends are allowed because it's always 21 plus.
Oh.
So bands like Earth or what is it? A Place to Bury Strangers. They always play bars, and it kills me because they come to
Yeah.
Atlanta so often, and it's 21 plus. But
Yeah.
what type of shows do you play?
A little bit of a mix. There were a couple all ages venues that have closed in Portland. One of them we had our first ever show booked at. It's called Honey Latte, and they closed literally in between the time that we'd gotten it on the books and it was going to happen. So that was a big
Terrible.
disappointment. Just for that exact reason. Like, when you're just kind of starting out as a band, you don't necessarily know what your demographic is going to be. You can't always choose your demographic. Not only that, but even if your demographic is, mostly, let's say people from like 25 to 45, like you also have outliers, and people that are like 17 that want to go, or even 20, 19. Like, we don't want to exclude anyone that wants to be there and see us. So it's definitely been a challenge finding all ages venues, but we are interested in it. And I think there's a new all ages venue opening in Portland from the talk of the town. So we'll see. But yeah, we do mostly play like smaller venues that have like a proper sound person, a proper board, like good PA setup, like in a sort of a permanent way. So the sound is like at least pretty good. Some places are better than others. And, some sound people are better than others, so that's to be expected. Um, Most of the places, I guess, would be considered bars, or they're really actually venues, but they have a bar. And
Yeah,
so I guess that innately keeps folks that are under 21 away. But thank you for sharing your input. And that will be another new reminder that I need to, because I do all our booking at this time, just like kind of be looking for venues that are all ages.
of course. Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to push that onto you, but I think that the demographic that's finding more and more small bands is like, 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, high schoolers, because it's kind of the cool thing. Like,
Yeah, it has been.
recently I've seen a lot of my friends, their playlists, they're having like we had a competition, who has the smallest artist. And it's so beautiful to see, even though these bands and artists are still, relatively big in the space of intimate art, but that doesn't matter, as long as you're supporting these just, maybe smaller, slightly smaller, whatever bands, as long as you're supporting local music. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, something about all ages is so beautiful. Like when I saw Swans, which is my first ever guest list show, it was like
Wow.
insane. And I remember seeing like the older people in the back, and then, kind of like 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds in the middle. And straight down the middle, I saw a kid that looked exactly like me, Indian, 14, 15, and he was just like blankly staring. Like I saw his mind just completely blown. And I love seeing that. And some shows like saw Dinosaur Jr. at a 21 plus gig, but we like snuck in kind of because somehow they let us in because we were on guest list. So we were the only youngins there, and tried to start a mosh pit. Nothing happened, but it's almost like a wall, like a barrier. You know what I mean? When if you
Yeah.
kind of make it in, and if you sneak through security and you're there, none of your friends are there. None of the kids who kind of relate with you are there. It's like these geezers in the back, which there's no problem with that. But you know what I mean?
Totally. It's a different thing. Yeah.
It's completely different. But I love that you're, looking into that. And some of the coolest gigs I've seen online have been like at chapels or at
Mhm.
like these retreats, which I guess, they don't really have permanent sound systems, which may not be like perfect for your type of music, because I assume sometimes we get a little foggy. But we got to do something, we got to make like a collective of bands in like live small venues. We need
Yeah,
that.
I think Death Doula would be so perfect in a chapel, any kind of church really. I would love to just do a tour that's just like church shows. The natural reverb in those rooms is so
It's
spectacular.
beautiful.
And also just the like mystical, kind of mysterious, like spiritual experience of being in a church. Like even if you're not religious, which we're not, but you can't deny that feeling, all the wood and all the stained glass, and usually it's high ceilings and it's just so much like a womb. And
That's perfect. I love that metaphor.
yeah, we would love to play. There's a place here in Portland, I think it's called the Old Church. Crazy enough, I haven't seen a show there yet. I wanted to see a couple bands, but they were already sold out by the time I learned about the gig. But yeah, it's always about like finding the right bill mates to create a show and the right date for the venue for everybody involved. And yeah,
Yep.
I want to move toward, you're so inspiring. Thank
No,
you.
thank you.
I
No,
want to move toward booking something at the old church and maybe other churches as well.
that would be so cool. I know I was talking to Scott Morgan of he has a project called Lossil, which is kind of like this ambient type music.
Sure.
And he was telling me about this church, or I think a system of churches that they have specifically for ambient music, like venues that almost like a collective. And I hate Live Nation. I hate Ticketmaster because they take all the fun out of everything with their dumb fees and like the online, what's it, the dynamic pricing and all that sucks. If we could make like a Live Nation without the live or the nation, like our own thing. And I'm just like, I don't see why these churches would mind, like it's money giving to them. I can't imagine it'd be expensive or like that much. You know what I mean? That would be so cool. We need to like do something like that. Like the whole
So they
nationwide. Imagine how
already
cool that'd be.
the churches are already like designated like as venues and they're specifically working with ambient artists.
Yeah, something like that.
Are they nationwide or is this in a particular
No, I thought it was
city?
like I'm pretty sure it's like two or three churches that he was talking to me about. I need to talk to him about that because it was such an interesting concept because he also does kind of smaller shows. And we were talking about this like divide, like you and me, with the ages and the age limits, because playing bars brings that. He was telling me it's I don't know, it's so fascinating. And like even these other artists that'll play like small rooms, it's not the same. Even though it is all ages, it's not the same. It's not like a church. I've been lucky enough to play at some churches and some theaters. Like for Allstate, I play violin, and our Georgia's Allstate is held in Athens, where they have a major venue that they rent out. And like Wilco played there like a couple months ago.
At
So
the
I got to
Georgia
stand.
Theater?
No, it's the honors. I forget. It's something honors, but it's like this group of buildings. They're building an arena that the B-52s are going to play at. Completely random, but the theater that they have is
Not
like
random
a.
actually, because I lived in Athens for 5.5 years.
Did you go to UGA?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I was in my first band in Athens.
Did you
And I
play with
have
Georgia
friends
Theater?
there, and our record is in the record store Low Yo-Yo there. I love Athens. I love Atlanta too. I lived in Atlanta for several years.
That's awesome. I can't even put it into words how much I love Athens specifically because of like the scene. They have this one record store there. It's not the one you said. It's
Buck Street?
yes, Walk Street is the goat. Like I need to check out your record store next time I'm there, which will be in March. But Walk Street is like it was so inviting. I was with my friends and we all found some records that we loved. It's got such a wide like arrangement in music. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know, something about Athens, but it's so cool that you went there. How did you like UGA?
I loved UGA. I studied visual art and I loved the campus. I loved the people. I loved my program. I loved the music scene. This was quite a while ago. I graduated in '07. And so like it's a different world there now. All of my friends who are still there, which honestly aren't many, most of them have left, um, complain about the changes that have occurred. But I think that's the world. Like I think I don't know anyone who's like, my city has gotten so much better. Like my city rocks now, and it was like super shit before the pandemic began, like everyone's like, wow, it's so much more expensive. And like all my favorite places have closed. And there's all these new condos that are being built that are just like soulless. And that's
Mhm.
definitely the case there. Um,
I think it needs to be like a law that everyone needs to take a bike ride down like urban neighborhoods at least once a week because I did that with my friends. We have to like bike to the Publix to get food whenever we're hungry because it doesn't make sense to drive like 3 miles. And I get to bike through these, like, it's so beautiful, and finding the beauty in these urban landscapes make you feel a little bit better, or I guess suburban makes you feel so much better about this like sprawling city that's happening. Because knowing
Yeah.
that there are houses like mine all around me, and people like me all around me, and backyards and like deer, it's, I don't know, it's something so special about that. And I agree, in Athens, it's disappearing kind of rapidly, but I'm still really happy at the Georgia Theater still there. My favorite guitar store still there. Um, there's like a Southern restaurant right across from that UGA park where the Chick-fil-A is, which this is probably all new stuff, but there's this one really amazing Southern restaurant that has, thank God, been there for like the past 5 years. And it's
Remember what
like
it's called?
huh?
Remember what it's called?
No, it's next to this one boba shop, and it's on like the main street, right next
Is
to
it
what
on Broad?
it's across from Walk Street. So where that like
Oh,
closed
okay.
off area is, um,
Okay.
keep walking past that. There's like UGA right across from it, and you walk past that road. It's something I don't remember. It's only got like five tables. It's so incredible. We never know the name. We just walk to it because it's right next to the Honor Center, which is like down that road where Allstate is. So
Okay.
I know I was finding the beauty in those small details.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, like reconnecting with your town or your city and like remembering why you love it.
Exactly. And I have so much time to think, but it's like UGA or tech. That's like the dilemma because I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
because you still get the Hope Scholarship.
Yeah, even though honestly, I was thinking about that. The Hope Scholarship's only like $2,000, which is like a lot in normal people money, but in like uh education funds, that's like not much. If it's like $40,000, 3K is good, but I'm still have to pay like 37,000 on top of that or
I thought the Hope, well,
remaining.
maybe it's changed. I thought the Hope Scholarship was free in-state tuition if you're a resident and you make like a specific GPA,
No, I don't think it is anymore. I talked to my ELA teacher about it because we
which
were
I think is
talking
like a
about
3.0.
scholarships.
Has that changed?
I think so. What I know is that it's higher than a 3.0 and it's based off PSAT, and it's only like a couple thousand, which
Hmm.
sucks. And it's, I don't know, that dilemma for me because even though I'm still a freshman, I love Atlanta. I love the food scene in Atlanta. I love being able to walk to the Fox Theater. Like my school
Mhm.
is right next to the Variety Playhouse.
That's
Um,
cool.
so getting to be like right next to these destinations for shows is awesome. But at the same time, Athens feels like a little bubble. You know what I mean? Far
Definitely.
from
Yeah, I
everything.
can't speak to it. I haven't been there in like 6 years now. Um, but I've loved it. I lived in New York for 10 years and I would always go back to Athens and Atlanta and visit friends and just like feel so at home whenever I was there. We would play shows and go to shows and there's so many little cute festivals that happen there.
Yes, like every week. I love it. Especially
Yeah.
at the Piedmont, they always have like a market. Um, I don't know. I really love living here. I love being in this weird little area. But sorry, that was completely off topic and completely off, course. So I
Great topic
apologize.
though, you know.
Um, speaking of shows, this is something I was wondering. What shows have you recently been to? What shows have you really loved, in like the past year or two?
Hmm. We saw PJ Harvey recently. It's not the
She's been
first
on my
time.
list.
Yeah, it's not the first time I've seen her. I saw her at Terminal 5 in Manhattan quite a while ago. It was the tour where she had like a headpiece and was playing her auto harp. Um, it was amazing. It was at Moda, but like which is like the biggest venue in town, I would say. But it's they have all these different configurations at the Moda, so they can like kind of trim it down a little bit, like basically like barricade off portions of the Moda to make it like more of like an intimate setting. And they did that for this gig. And so it was big and the sound was incredible, so clear, mouth sounds and all, you know. But so it felt like a big show, but a small show. It was really fantastic. She was so incredible live, like pitch perfect, unbelievable singing, just like front to back. The set list was great. Her band was unbelievable. I don't know if you've seen any of the footage that
I've watched a little bit.
Yeah, like the Paris. Did you see the Paris show?
No, I didn't. Do I need
Okay.
to?
Yeah, I would say like to me that kind of summates like what she's up to with this tour and what her band is kind of all about. And it's a very well shot video with really good sound. It's like I want to say it's the entire show. It's like over an hour. Um, and it's just free on YouTube. Like, wow, YouTube is such an
It's
amazing
incredible.
resource, you know? And then we saw, I know, God, I don't remember exactly when this was. It was pretty early on in our relationship. So it might be like airing on the 2.5 years ago deadline or parameter that you gave me. But we saw when the Doug Fir was still in its former location, which was like our favorite venue in town. And we're so crushed that it's closed. And now we're like waiting for it to reopen in a new place. And we don't know where it's going to be or when it's going to open. But we went to go see Spirit of the Beehive. And the opener was this band we hadn't heard of called Deeper. And we caught
I
them.
interview deeper.
Really?
I interview deeper. Yes. They're
Amazing.
awesome.
Dude,
They're
aren't they
so
so
cool.
cool? Yeah.
I was listening to them today,
Nice guy.
actually. I absolutely
I
love them.
love them and I love their music. And we were like fully blown away by their set. And we were like, whoa, Deeper was like almost better than Spirit, you know, like we were just like, Lord. Um, and then we saw them again when they came back to Portland at Mississippi Studios. So they like did a headlining tour like, you know, a year later or whatever. So that was,
Deeper?
yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. I was like, that was the first time I had a full band on the show. I think one of the only times. And they were on like three different Zoom things at three different
So
times.
funny.
But
Yeah.
it was so much fun. I love Deeper. Again, they're one of the bands that play bars. Kills me. One day, because I know they're rising up the ranks with their KEXP session. I know
Mhm.
they'll be up there sooner or
Mhm.
later. Are you wait, was the Moda Center?
Yeah.
Isn't Deftones playing there in spring?
I think that's true. You
You
know
gonna
what?
go?
I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little truth right here. Spill the tea. I'm obsessed with Deftones. I have been since I was like 17.
Hmm.
I bought Around the Fur like when it came out. Like I own all their albums on CD. I've never seen them live.
You need to.
Well, I've seen lots of footage of them live, and I've always been like, ugh. It feels to me, God, I love Chino to death. I think he's an incredible performer.
He's so
But
cool.
it seems to me that he like runs around and jumps so much that he's like not able to sing very well. And I don't want to be like, I guess honestly, I don't want to be disappointed by seeing them live because like of him like not being able to sing very well. Like I'm sure I'm gonna get so much hate mail about this, but I'm just so into them. I love their like studio albums. I think they're truly one of my favorite bands of all time.
They're
Like I
incredible.
them all the time. And they're a huge inspiration and influence for us. We actually like it's a secret, but we're like putting together a Deftones cover set for next Halloween. It's like a vague plan for like a year from now. And we already
Mhm.
have the set list planned, of course. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like also big shows like that really I hate it. Like the only time I've done a show like that is Radiohead because it was like I have to see Radiohead.
Of
Like I have
course.
to see Radiohead. I hadn't seen them. I'd had all these opportunities in Athens and Atlanta. Like what's that outdoor amphitheater?
Amaris?
I think it
Lakewood?
changed the name. Yeah, Lakewood. Yeah. Yeah, they played there and it like started raining when Tom was singing all the
Yeah,
raindrops started raining. It was like some of my friends were there and it was like
that's so cool.
very like iconic and memorable show. And I chose not to go to that because I didn't want to go to like a big show. And then of course, like I was like several years later, I was like, oh my God, I have to go see them. I was weirdly living in Florida working on this project and they were coming to Miami. And so I went to see them in Miami alone at this huge amphitheater, but or like arena. But I got pretty good seat, like day of, literally ticket. I just like decided to go. And that was like a transcendent experience. I actually wrote a piece, like a review almost for Brooklyn Vegan.
I love
Um,
Brooklyn. Wow, yeah, Brooklyn Vegan's like the top news source for me. They're
cool.
so
Hell yeah.
good.
Yeah, they're so good. Yeah, you could probably find my piece actually.
I'm gonna look for it after this. But you need to go see
Yeah.
Deftones. Like it doesn't.
Okay.
I've what I've heard is that it's it may look like he's panting and running around, but the where he needs, like with Rosemary, when he needs to be locked in, he'll be locked in. And you don't want like post concert distress, right? You don't want to like that's happened to me with Jack White. He started his small venue tour in Atlanta, and I
Hmm.
just thought, it's like a one off, it'll be whatever. And it was the day before school starts. So of course I can't make it out. And then I find out he's doing this big ass tour, and I missed the only Atlanta dates. So like you can't have that happen. I'm gonna see if like I want to see the Mars Volta because I love them and they're opening for Deftones. I want to see if I
Right.
can make it backstage because I'm really not trying to spend like $100 on tickets. That's insane for a concert.
Yeah, but that's how
So
much they are,
I
right?
know, which is why got to work smarter, not harder. I don't have a job or any sustainable source of income. So if I can get the Mars Volta on the pod, that could be something.
There you go. Wow.
I know this is kind of like I'm not supposed to say this, but Steven from the Deftones has like the side project Soul Invicto, and they're doing a new album. I want to see if I can get the frontman of Soul Invicto on the podcast. Not Steven. I already asked. They said no, but those connections, maybe like, you know what I mean? Maybe you can see that happening. That would be so
Yeah,
cool. I can take some
totally.
friends with me.
Yeah.
But
I have one of those experiences where I like wish that I'd gone to see a show. It's actually also an Atlanta show. It was Kendrick Lamar. A friend of
yeah.
mine had an extra ticket day of. I was like at my job and like cooking for a client in Buckhead. And she was like, "Hey, do you want to come with me? Kendrick Lamar's tonight. Like, it's gonna be amazing." And I like I think it was like To Pimp a Butterfly era. Like, and I
So
was
incredible.
like, yeah, basically. And I was like not fully on board, like with energy levels. I was just
Mhm.
like, I just want to go home and like rest. Like something, I think I had just come back from Athens because like there was a time period where I was working in Buckhead for clients, but like in a band in Athens and dating a guy in Athens. And so I was like back and forth a lot. And I think I just returned to Atlanta from being in Athens and I was like, I just want to like chill tonight.
Real.
And I like have regretted that ever since.
Which is why you have to go. We have like 20 seconds left, so I don't want to get cut off. It has been an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. So wonderful. I hope I see you in Atlanta sometime soon rather than later, or Athens if you're gonna play there. But
Keep you
have a
posted. Follow us on Instagram at Death Doula Band, and that's a good way to like keep in touch and figure out what we've got going on.
sounds good. You have a great day.
Thank you. You too. So nice chatting.
Yep.